Homeland Security with the Sheriff's Office. This afternoon, out here in River Oaks Apartments on Park Road, JSO Narcotics Division was working a joint investigation with JSO Gang Unit as well as the DEA. This had been a protracted investigation that had been going on for at least several weeks in reference to narcotic sales in this apartment that's back here. This afternoon, a search warrant was going to be served by the SWAT team, which is pretty well standard. Narcotics will work these cases and we'll have a search warrant to be served. The SWAT team from JSO will be the ones who serve that. As the SWAT team came up, they saw a subject leave the area of the apartment where the search warrant was to be conducted. He walked towards the car and got into that car. They quickly verified he was one of the subjects who they believed should have been in the apartment and was associated with the investigation. As the detectives approached the car, he was in the driver's seat and began to get back out of the car. As they got closer, there was 3 detectives, got close to him. He pulled his shirt up and produced a machine gun pistol that he pulled from his waist. Those detectives obviously quickly identified, and couldn't miss it, that it was a machine gun. Went to grab the gun. There was 3 of them in close proximity, so they kind of jumped in the car. As they were grabbing the gun, the subject fired 1 shot. Nobody was hurt, luckily. The subject fired into the ground outside the car. The detectives did not discharge their weapons. The subject was taken into custody and is going to be charged with 3 counts of attempted murder on these law enforcement officers. The subject is a member of a JSO or a Jacksonville gang. He's the 1,000 block gang member. And we're still working through this, but where the search warrant was served in the apartment, a large quantity of drugs, several guns were found in that apartment as well.
Was there anyone in there?
There was 1 subject inside the apartment, and this was kind of where our investigation had led us to believe there should have been 2 in there. The subject we got in the car was one of the 2 that should have been in there. The other one who was in the apartment was in there as we anticipated.
When you say a large quantity of drugs, how much are we talking about and what types of drugs are we talking about?
At this point in time, there's like some cocaine, some marijuana, probably several pounds at least that are in there, and it's scattered all throughout the apartment. It's involved in drug sales. There's drug scales, possibly even drug making. There are some beakers and just the typical stuff that you would find in one of these apartments or one of these places where they're manufactured and selling drugs would be.
Do you know how long this investigation has been going on?
At least several weeks. These turned into protracted investigations. You work them for some time, and they're either based on a complaint or based on some other information that we have. The Narcotics Division works and is always working on these things. But it really highlights, again, some of the dangers that police officers face. These are our SWAT team members serving search warrants, some of the best trained and brightest that we have that are out here. And they do a very, very dangerous job. The job of an average police officer is dangerous enough. Our SWAT team members volunteer and put themselves in the face of danger for the jobs that they do. This highlights some of the dangers that they face. Luckily today, none of them were hurt, and the subject is able to leave. I've said it before, I'll say it again. All these police officers want is compliance with the orders that they have. You should know better than to pull a gun on a police officer. It's pretty well obvious. Luckily that nobody was hurt today in that event.
Just to clarify, this is 1 apartment, not multiple apartments.
This is 1 apartment in this apartment complex.
The second person who was arrested inside that apartment, I'm assuming they're arrested. Can
Yes,
you tell me what their charges are?
They'll be charged with the narcotics in the apartment as well as the guns that we found in that apartment as well.
Is that person a member of the gang also?
I'm not sure about that.
And can you identify them and give us their ages?
I'll go through the PIO once we're able to identify those, get the copy of the dockets out, and their mugshot pictures to you.
Are they adults?
They're
over
both
18?
adults, yes.
Can you talk a little bit about this gang?
Well, this is one of the certified gangs that we have in the city. It should be no surprise that drugs and gangs go together, and drugs and gangs and violence all go together as well. This is kind of the nexus of all 3 of those things here today, that the gang members are involved in the drug sales, and part of that drug sales and drug sale culture is guns and violence. This just kind of pinpoints exactly where they all come together.
And walk me through again where he was and where the officers were, what exactly he did.
He had left the apartment where they saw him, walked to the car, and as they're approaching, he got in the car. They get closer to him. He starts to get out of the car, gets about 1 foot out of the car. As they get right up on him, he pulls his shirt up, takes it's a machine gun pistol, pretty scary looking, pulls it up, and they identify quickly, like I said, you couldn't miss what it was, grab the gun to try to save their own lives. I mean, you're closer to each other than really we are standing here now. It's not the ideal way to deal with a machine gun pistol is that close. You grab the gun, try to avoid him being able to fire on them. In the course of them reaching for the gun and grabbing the gun, he does fire one shot off. It goes into the ground outside the car.
Do you know if it was you call it a Tech 9? You know the name of what it was?
Well, they're still processing the scene. I was going to try to get the manufacturer of that gun before I came out. I was not able to do so, but there's a flash suppressor on the end of it. It's a pretty scary looking gun, and if I can get a picture released to the PIO, I'll certainly do that as well.
And it was clear to him who they were as being
There was no
SWAT team
doubt.
members.
There was no doubt. Our armored vehicle was in front of his car. You can't miss who was it.
What was the name of the gang? 1,000?
A 1,000 block gang.
Was he trying to run, you think? Like, would
I
he
don't
have
know.
seen them before he got to the car?
Possibly. It's hard to know what's in these people's minds. Obviously, he wasn't using all his facilities because he tried to pull a machine gun on the SWAT officers.
I'm just wondering about the gang. Is this a common thing in this part of the city? Around this complex?
The gangs that we have that are certified gangs, they own cars and they travel throughout the city. There's not one side of the city that's worse than the other, or has a larger concentration. These folks live throughout the county, and obviously our jurisdiction covers that, and we work to make sure we're investigating as we need to be.
There's a time when this actually happened. I'm not sure
It was at
exactly.
1:55 p.m.
Any issues apprehending the person inside the apartment?
No, he was caught inside the apartment, sitting with the gun and the drugs inside the apartment.
Do we know who lives in that apartment?
We're working to identify them. I believe the subject that we caught inside is not the registered owner.
Is the other person that you arrested
No,
listed? So neither one of them are listed as actually being resident. Okay.
All right. Thank you all for
Thank
your
you.
attention.
I appreciate it.